Hi, horse friends. Today we're talking about one of the most important horse diseases every owner should understand before mosquito season reaches its peak. If someone asked you the difference between Eastern Equine Encephalitis, Western Equine Encephalitis, and Venezuelan Equine Encephalitis, would you know the answer? Most horses have heard of EEE, and many have heard their veterinarian mention West Nile virus during the spring vaccinations. But far fewer people understand that they are actually three major equine encephalitis viruses, that they behave differently, occur in different parts of the world, and even spread differently between horses and mosquitoes. Although these diseases are relatively uncommon compared to many other equine illnesses, when they do occur, they can be devastating. Some carry mortality rates approaching 95% in unvaccinated horses. Others can leave surviving horses with permanent neurologic damage that affects them for the rest of their lives. The good news is that understanding these diseases can help you make informed decisions about vaccination, mosquito control, and recognizing early warning signs. Today, we're going to explain what equine encephalitis actually is, compare Eastern, Western, and Venezuelan equine encephalitis side by side, discuss where each disease occurs, how they spread, what clinical signs horse owners should watch for, why one of these viruses is especially concerning from a public health standpoint, and most importantly, what you can do to help protect your horse. Let's start with the word encephalitis. Encephalitis simply means inflammation of the brain. When the brain becomes inflamed, normal nerve function is disrupted. Because the brain controls movement, behavior, vision, balance, swallowing, and many other critical body functions, inflammation can produce a wide variety of neurologic symptoms. Unlike injuries or developmental neurologic diseases, encephalitis is often caused by infectious organisms. In today's discussion, we're focusing specifically on viral encephalitis caused by mosquito-borne viruses. These viruses belong to a group called alpha viruses. Each virus is different. They all have something important in common. They are transmitted primarily through mosquito bites. This means the disease is closely linked to mosquito populations. Warm temperatures, standing water, heavy rainfall, and humid weather all contribute to larger mosquito populations, increasing the opportunity for transmission. One of the biggest misconceptions is that horses give these diseases directly to one another. They don't. A horse standing next to an infected horse is not going to catch encephalitis through normal contact, sharing a water bucket, or touching noses. Mosquitoes are the primary route of transmission. Let's begin with a disease most horse owners have heard about. Eastern Equine Encephalitis, commonly called EEE, is considered to be one of the most severe viral diseases affecting horses in North America. Historically, EEE has occurred throughout the eastern United States, particularly east of the Mississippi River. It has been especially common in the southeastern states, where warm temperatures and abundant wetlands support mosquito populations. However, EEE is no longer confined to the East Coast. Over time, cases have been identified farther west, including Texas, and farther north into eastern Canada. That expanding geographic range means horse owners should not assume they are completely safe because they don't live along the Atlantic coast. The virus naturally circulates between mosquitoes and wild birds. Birds act as the primary reservoir, meaning the virus continues circulating within bird populations without causing widespread disease in horses. Occasionally, infected mosquitoes bite horses instead of birds. That's when the problems begin. Once infected, horses may initially develop a fever, but as the virus reaches the brain and spinal cord, neurologic signs often develop rapidly. Owners may notice depression, unusual behavior, stumbling, muscle tremors, difficulty swallowing, circling head, weakness, blindness, inability to stand, seizures, or eventually coma. Sadly, EEE has one of the highest fatality rates seen in equine infectious diseases. Among unvaccinated horses, mortality is estimated between 75 and 95%. Even more concerning is how quickly the disease progresses. Many horses deteriorate dramatically within just 2 or 3 days after neurologic signs first appear. Those fortunate enough to survive may be left with permanent neurologic deficits that affect coordination, behavior, or athletic ability. Now let's compare that to Western Equine Encephalitis, or WEE. Historically, WEE was primarily found throughout the western United States and parts of Western Canada. Large outbreaks occurred decades ago, affecting both horses and people. However, something interesting has happened over the past 20 years. Equine cases have become extremely rare. In fact, no equine cases have been reported in the United States during the past 2 decades. Researchers continue studying why WEE has declined so dramatically. Several factors may be involved, including changes in mosquito populations, bird migration patterns, environmental conditions, and vaccination practices. Although current cases are extremely uncommon, veterinarians still consider WEE an important disease because it remains part of our understanding of equine infectious disease history, and it's still included in core vaccination recommendations for horses in North America. Clinically, WEE looks similar to EEE because both affect the nervous system. Affected horses may develop fever, incoordination, depression, muscle weakness, abnormal behavior, difficulty standing, and seizures. The difference is that WEE generally causes less severe disease than EEE. Mortality in unvaccinated horses is typically estimated between 20 and 40%. While that's considerably lower than Eastern Equine Encephalitis, it's still a very serious disease that can leave survivors with lasting neurologic problems. Now let's discuss the third virus, Venezuelan Equine Encephalitis, or VEE. This disease behaves differently from both EEE and WEE. Rather than being centered in the United States, VEE primarily causes outbreaks throughout Central America, South America, and parts of Mexico. Only occasionally has it entered the southern United States. The last significant U.S. outbreak occurred in Texas in 1971. Even though it hasn't become established again in the United States, veterinarian and public health officials continue monitoring for possible reintroduction because of its ability to spread rapidly during outbreaks. Here's where VEE becomes especially unique. Remember earlier when we said horses don't usually spread EEE or WEE? That's true because horses infected with EEE or WEE don't generally develop enough virus circulating in their bloodstream to affect additional mosquitoes. Veterinarians call horses dead-end hosts. A mosquito bites an infected horse, but the virus level is too low for that mosquito to become infected and continue spreading disease. VEE is different, though. Horses infected with Venezuelan equine encephalitis can develop very high levels of virus in their bloodstream. When mosquitoes bite these horses, they can become infected themselves and then spread the virus to additional horses. In other words, horses become amplification hosts during VEE outbreaks. This ability allows outbreaks to grow much more rapidly than they would with EEE or WEE. That's one reason VEE receives such close attention from animal health authorities. Like the other encephalitis viruses, VEE causes fever followed by neurologic symptoms. Clinical signs may include depression, abnormal behavior, stumbling, weakness, loss of coordination, blindness, seizures, and eventually coma in severe cases. Mortality estimates vary depending on the specific viral strain, but can range from approximately 40 to 90% in horses. Surviving horses may also experience long-term neurologic deficits. One question horse owners often ask is whether they can recognize encephalitis early enough to save their horses. Unfortunately, that's really difficult. Many horses initially appear to have nothing more than a fever or seem quieter than normal. As the virus begins affecting the brain, neurologic signs can progress rapidly. Owners may notice their horse acting strangely, wandering aimlessly, becoming unusually excitable or depressed, appearing blind, leaning against objects, walking in circles, etc. Some horses eventually became unable to rise. Because these neurologic signs overlap with many other serious diseases, including West Nile virus, equine herpes, myeloencephalitis, rabies, liver disease, toxicity, and traumatic brain injury, definitive diagnosis requires veterinary evaluation and laboratory testing. If you ever notice sudden neurologic signs in your horse, this is not something to monitor for another day to see if it improves. Contact your veterinary immediately. Early veterinary care provides the best opportunity for supportive treatment and appropriate diagnostics. Another important point is that all of these diseases are reportable. That means veterinarians are required to notify animal health officials when these diseases are suspected or confirmed. This reporting allows officials to monitor disease activity, identify outbreaks, track mosquito-borne disease patterns, and help protect both animal and public health. Let's finish by talking about prevention, because this is where horse owners have the greatest opportunity to reduce risk. For horses living in or traveling within North America, vaccination against Eastern and Western Equine Encephalitis is considered a core vaccination. A core vaccine is one recommended for nearly all horses because the disease is severe. The consequences can be devastating, and vaccination provides important protection. Your veterinarian will recommend an appropriate vaccination schedule based on your horse's age, previous vaccine history, geographic location, travel plans, and individual risk factors. Venezuelan equine encephalitis is different. Rather than being considered a core routine vaccine, it is generally risk-based. Horses traveling to or living in regions where VEE exposure is possible may require vaccination depending on current disease conditions and veterinary recommendations. Vaccination is only one key of the prevention. Since mosquitoes transmit these viruses, reducing mosquito exposure is also important. The most important message to remember from today's video is this: Eastern, Western, and Venezuelan equine encephalitis are not the same disease. They occur in different regions, have different epidemiology, different outbreak characteristics, and in the case of VEE, a very different ability to spread through those populations. Thank you so much for joining us. And remember, I am not AI. If you listen closely, you can hear me breathing.